welcome back to episode 7 of Laptops and Drinks.
Woo!
I'm Shads.
I'm Davina.
I'm Anne-Marie.
I'm Sharon.
And we are on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you check us out, okay? Like, comment, and subscribe. What are we drinking, ladies? Sharon?
So, no making home drinks today.
I thought you was on a roll.
I know, I didn't have time this week. So kind of, because you got to give it love. You can't just rustle up something quickly.
Together.
Right? Yeah, no. So I've just got a nice cherry drink today.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you on the Usher vibes?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Definitely not that. But it's very sweet. It's lovely. So it's just kind of how I'm feeling today. Got my shorts on, a little bit of sun. I know the weather's going to get nice next week.
It is.
Nice vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's me.
Nice. I'm drinking a latte. Was it kind of like a latte? So it's made from white chocolate milkshake and an Americano.
Sounds good.
I know. I don't know who I think I am, but I'm feeling
Sounds
this
like
vibe.
a pudding.
Yeah, I feel like I'm with a dessert sort of thing. Yeah, but it's nice.
No alcohol?
No alcohol, no.
Oh. That's got to be like the second episode, no?
Maybe the third.
Maybe the fourth. Who knows?
Is there something we need to know?
Announcement, guys. Keep waiting for the announcement. Can't not breathe. Davina, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking today. I'm drinking some lime and strawberry cider. Yeah.
That sounds good. For me, I'm drinking coconut water. I don't know. When I went to the shops, I was drawn to it. I think I need a holiday. I need some sunshine.
But I love a coconut water. It's so hydrating.
It is. And I thought, you know what? I'll have that today.
So you're manifesting sun,
I am.
sea, and good vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that. Okay. Episode 7. Davina, what have you got for us?
Ooh. So, viewers, you will notice in the middle of the table, we have somebody or something else joining us today.
Yes. Although, do you know what I realised? We should kind of just talk about Dan. Dan's not been here for the last couple episodes.
That's true.
So Dan is around. She's just got some other projects going on at the moment. So she has just taken a bit of a back seat, and she will be joining us hopefully in the next couple of episodes. So if you miss her, she's coming back. She's just taking a bit of a back seat.
Let her know in the comments.
Yeah.
You want her back.
Yeah, tell her to move on quickly what she's doing. But yeah, so it's just the four of us for the next couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that we're going to fill in Dan's space.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Miss you. So this segment is called Drinks and Thoughts. In season 1, we did 21 seconds. Remember that?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
And 21 seconds was where we all brought a topic and we rambled through in 21 seconds and then we rapped about it afterwards. So this is somewhat different. So in our bowl, we've got a number of different topics that will allow us to have some juicy conversations, a bit like a cocktail. Some of it we'll agree on, some we'll disagree on. It's unfiltered, it is unscripted.
Yes.
I don't know what's in
We don't even know what's in
You
here.
don't know. So,
That's the best bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get like real natural responses.
Yes. So here we go. Who's going to dive in first?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
Go on, Anne-Marie.
Let's see. There's a lot in here. Wow, this looks wordy.
Oh. You've got your glasses on.
I know. It's like interesting. Okay, this is about Neo. R&B singer Neo recently opened up about his polygamous lifestyle during an interview on the Ricky Smiley morning show. He shared that he is involved in multi-relationships simultaneously and all parties are aware and are consenting. Neo emphasised that honesty and transparency are key to making these relationships work, dismissing the idea that secrecy or deceit plays a role. He also acknowledged that monogamy may not be for everyone and that he has chosen a lifestyle that aligns with his personal beliefs and desires. He further explained that polygamy allows for deeper connections with multiple people and that it requires strong communication, trust among all involved. As societal norms around relationships continue to evolve, Neo's openness reflects a broader cultural shift towards accepting diverse relationships, structures beyond traditional. So the question is, more people, including celebrities like Neo, are embracing non-traditional relationships. What do you think is driving the shift towards more openness?
A good one.
It is. It
To
is.
get us going.
It
I mean,
is.
back in the day, that would have just been you wanted your cake and eat
Yeah.
it too, right? But
That's-
we're more evolved now, aren't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit more than that.
I think for me, it's also about how did this all come about for him? Because he was married previously.
Neo's wicked, yeah.
In what sense?
Sorry. And I'll tell you why Neo's wicked, right?
Anne-Marie didn't even get to
I know,
She was in her flow. She was like,
Go
hold
ahead.
it. Yeah, hold it. Sit
I
tight, sit
just
tight.
spoke out loud.
Yeah,
Neo's
sit
wicked.
tight.
So, yeah, so I was just thinking, he was married before, and then all of a sudden now he's in this new relationship with, is it 3 or 4 women?
4.
Is it 4 women?
Yeah.
And how did this come about? How did he choose these 4 women? How did they agree that they're going to do this? And I read something else as well, that he's put like an agenda together as well about what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do.
Really?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's very much about if they do certain things, they have to pay him a certain amount of money. Yeah,
Like what? Could you remember anything?
there was something like if they basically they can't be with anyone else. They can only be with him. But if
He's
they want
allowed
to
to be
leave,
with other
he can be
people
with other
though, but they're
people.
not
Well,
allowed
outside
to.
of the 4 of them?
Yes.
Yeah, he's allowed to,
But they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
If they want to leave or something, they might have to pay him money. There's like a contract. So I think he's trying to say that he's not forcing them to do this.
But that, you know what? But that, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, because I can feel
No,
the floor just on fire.
It's not that. The only reason I said Neo was wicked is when you mentioned he was married before.
Yeah, and he's got
because he was married before and had children before, and his previous wife, he made her have a not vasectomy. What's it called? Like women get their tubes tied, so you can't have-
Sterilised.
like
Yes,
sterilised,
yeah.
so she couldn't have no more children. And then he went on and had another relation. Not the wife that he just left, the wife
Oh,
before
the
that,
first-
the first wife I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
okay.
So that's why I say he's wicked, because the first wife made her. They had 2 kids together, made her get sterilised, said no more children, then went on to marry someone else, and then have more children
So
with someone
it
else.
was building up, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
So those characteristics didn't just come from nowhere. And then that wife that he was there with, he cheated on her, and now he's out having this polyamorous relationship. Now, celebrity wise, Neo wasn't the first one that I heard about. That Akon is also. Yes, Akon's in a polyamorous relationship, and as you know, in some cultures, it's normal in some parts of the world where husbands can have more than one wife. Well, they're not husband or wife, so none of them are married. I don't think in Neo's
No,
situation.
they're not married.
Yeah,
no.
but in some cultures, husbands can have more than one wife as long as they're able to kind of look after them and maintain all the different households or whatever that is.
But I think you know if that's your thing, and whoever and there's everyone's been open and honest about it, and you know what you're signing up to,
Then do your thing.
then that's up to you. But I think the issue is for me is that there's always either one man or one woman that's taking the lead and making the
benefiting.
decisions. And you know it's interesting that he's the one that says, you know, he can go out and do, but you can't. That I don't agree with.
So it's that power and control element of it, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sharon. I think I was going to say people are more in this day and age. Where does it come from? People, we have a lot more access to things than people had years ago before the internet. So you have things like TikTok where something can happen now and you can find out about it in 5 minutes time. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot more exposure to different alternative types of relationships. And I agree with the sense of if that's what you consent to and everyone's adults and everyone's in their right mind, everyone can make their decision, do your thing. If you're not hurting anybody else, it's your life, do whatever you like. But that power and control element of it is
And how do you even talk to your children about what you're doing? Because they're not babies, you know, they're old enough to know. A lot of children on the internet as well. Do you bring them around your
But don't
the
they live
children?
together?
Does he live with all 4
I
of them?
don't know.
Because the thing is
don't know.
the question is about
Even if he's having contact, it's just
the openness. Like, how are we in a space where people can have these relationships? I do think that a lot of it is a pushback against sort of traditional structures as well, in terms of like marriage, you know, people dating, people having open relationships. So there's quite a few celebrities that have spoken about. Well, actually, it's not that they've spoken about it. I don't think anybody's
hidden, isn't
spoken
it?
about it.
Yeah.
It's quite hidden. About whether it's Will and Jada. I can't remember who another famous one was.
But they're just celebrities, right? What about like your everyday folk that are?
But that's what I'm
you don't
saying,
hear
because
about
they're a
that,
portion of the society that we live in. So
Yeah.
if we can see them, surely it is going on. But it goes back to it not being spoken about. think it must be happening. You can't say that we
Yeah,
don't know
I think it's happening.
anybody
We just don't.
in
yeah.
those situations who don't talk about it. In
Unless
that
you're
way.
in that circle, unless you're part of
Yeah.
that community, you might not know about it.
But then what about because you talked about some cultures that
Mm-hmm.
that's the norm and that's okay. So, you know, for those cultures, they're talking about it. Maybe it's just not.
It's the West.
It's yeah.
But it's different because the cultural ones, I think they see it within their kind of religion, and they believe in kind of marrying that person, having a second wife or a third wife. And in some parts of the world, you have women who can have a second husband, third husband, as well. But that's not.
Really?
Yeah. There is.
I
Don't
must
ask me
say,
where. I have to do the research.
I'm
But there
not
are different
heard of
parts of the
that.
world where women have multiple. Where it's normal, common culture. I was even watching this thing the other day where it's in some community, it's normal for a man to have his arms cut off because it shows the woman that you will cut your arm off for her.
Oh my God.
No, yeah. There's parts
I shouldn't laugh. I'm just
no,
like,
but
yeah.
it's a real thing in that whole that village or that whole.
Who's cutting off their arm? The man?
The
or
man.
Oh,
Himself.
Yeah, the man gets his arm cut off. When you're married, you cut off your arm, and I just thought, huh? Google it. It's a
Maybe
real
we're
thing.
just like
Yeah.
I don't know if we're like living in a closed space
bubble.
or just. But I think relationships and how we used to see them and how they are going forward are changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really. And in terms of the question you were saying about how you tell your children, well, if that's all
They know.
they know, it's going to be something. It's going to be harder to maybe justify
But
and
Neo's kids
explain.
don't know that. His older kids would have seen the transition from the first wife. They would have seen him with the second wife, having other kids, and now his dad or their dad's over the newspaper on the TV
Yeah.
with these.
But
four
as long
girls.
as it's because the thing is, it's like if it's something that's impacting on their mother in terms of like how you tell the children that if they feel that that relationship's impacting on their relationship with their mother, then for children it's all it shouldn't really be a problem, right? Should it?
I think when you say that, I do wonder if you're talking about the messaging for children, as in like, is it then that it's hidden from children or it's out in the open as to what then the expectation is for them? But I think if I would hazard a guess, if you're in an open relationship or in a polyamorous relationship and it's somewhat like other people know about it, then surely your stance must be that you would be open with your children to say to them, this is what some people
You would
do.
hope so, you'd hope so. Yeah, I think the reason why I just raised it is because, like for the older children, they knew that he was with their mum, then he got married to someone else. Now all of a sudden, oh, Dad, you've got 4 girlfriends.
Yeah.
How did that
Makes
transition?
sense,
Yeah, how
yeah.
did that transition happen? And I think also as well, I was just kind of thinking about, because I feel like I'm very selfish in a relationship because I couldn't share.
You must be mad.
Do you know what I mean? My partner with 4 other people. But how does he even make sure that he is able to cater for each and every one of them?
But I don't think I know this
Jealousy can't be
But
part
can
of-
he do it though?
But the thing
He's
is,
claiming that he is. He gets to spend time with them.
Yeah.
and-
Well, you got a schedule, so on Tuesday between 2 and
who
8.
wants a schedule?
You see him.
Yeah,
But
no.
he's
You
still,
won't want a
but he's
schedule.
still having his cake and eating it too, though, because he's
yeah.
saying it's not like he's being equal. Okay, I'm committed to only you 4. You 4 are committed to me. He can still go off and do what the hell he likes. So I feel that there's still an element of I want to keep you under wraps. Oh, it's more about I don't want to look like Diddy. It's consensual. I'm not.
Yes,
I'm not grooming you guys.
Yeah.
So it's him putting like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Covering his own back rather than him saying, oh no, this is just all. Yes, it is consensual, but you're Neo. So there's a power imbalance.
Yes,
These girls want to be
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
famous anyway. Do you know what I mean? And you're not giving them the same respect that you want them to give you.
But also, it must be about, one of the things when you were talking, I was thinking about, well, what must be your views around relationships that actually, in terms of, you must feel like it's enough just to only have scheduled time with someone and that must work for you.
Yeah.
And you might not want anything else, like, it's no, if you think about like men or women who have an affair or have someone else that they're seeing aside to the person that they're married to, that person's at some point made a decision in their life that it's okay it suits them to be able to see someone every so often and to make contact.
Yeah.
It's only when it becomes problematic when that person didn't know and that you're leading this double life and they didn't sign up to that. Like,
Yeah.
if you know and you walk into that and someone says, look, you know what, there's going to be another 2 of you coming.
No, but that's yeah.
And you're all right
Yeah.
with that.
That's but yes, I agree there. I do believe people have free will to do what they like.
Yeah.
If you're not harming anybody else, it's your life and it's your choice. If that's what you want to do, do you. But I do think in Neo's particular situation, that power imbalance is the thing for me.
And I think also it's about gender, because I am very curious about women being the ones who have multiple partners. That's the bit I want to dig my teeth into, because I feel like it is a male serving sort of like the narratives or what we see of it is about men having access every single night, and I'm just putting it very bluntly, to a woman and to have opportunity to have sex 7 days a week. Like if you've got a schedule, and he can have more, because actually if that's not enough, mate, you can have more. And I feel like that sort of gendered part of it is the bit that I struggle with. Again, you're right, free will, but it does feel like, I mean, what would we say about a woman?
Oh, society would
What's
have
our conversation going to be?
She
If
gets
we're talking
slaughtered.
about a
She
woman
would.
now?
Yeah, she'd get slaughtered.
They
for
would
men.
be so degrading about
Yeah.
that, that. And also, because the other thing is, it's a celebrity, right? And it's the messaging that it gives to young people who are growing up, who are about to kind of embark on relationships, and that it's okay to kind of start thinking, well, I can have 1, 2, 3, and that's okay. And it's like, well, because if you think about it, if your child came home and was like, you one day you see one, and Friday you see the next one.
Under whose roof?
And then Sunday you see the next one. What would you say though?
That's in my house.
No, but is that your view? Because actually, he or she might turn around and say, well, actually,
Neo does it.
it's true. Yeah.
Did Neo give birth to you?
It's true. But actually, they might be saying, well, I'm just giving this type of relationship a try. Are you going to shut them down?
But then do you think religion plays a part of that? Because I suppose if you've come from a traditional religious household where you've got strict rules or maybe structure within your home, and that's what you want to enforce on your child, even though you want your child to have freedom, I think for some parents that'd be very difficult.
100%.
It'll be like, under my roof, this is what you do. If you want to do it elsewhere, it's up to you, but I don't want to see that.
Because it starts at home, isn't it? Even when you're born, it's your household, your parents, your caregivers, whoever it is, that is, until you get the outside influences, you have the core from your home. That's where it comes from, isn't it? So core values or core things come from your home, and then outside influences trickle in.
I think, it just made me think about the discussion we were having about Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Just
I don't know
how...
what you're talking about.
No, but just how,
No, but
different...
I'm not very passionate about this.
No, but, but no, just how much, our life is changing in terms of how we live and how we do things and how we see things, that what we've seen to be okay in the norm, and another decade it's very
changes,
different. It's different. We're having conversations about a man has got 3 partners, and actually it's becoming more common, and it's been spoken about as though it's okay to do it. 10 years ago it wouldn't have been.
It'd been a taboo.
And what's 10 years from now?
Oh,
Because when
that's
you're
what I
saying
said.
that,
Our sons or daughters,
we've got
it will...
young men that are coming into the world now that are young adults.
Yeah.
You and I. We don't know what their future looks like, and we may not be supportive of their choices, but we may be in a situation where they may turn around and communicate to us that they want to
Have that
in
life.
a different way, and we're going to have. And in some ways,
that's
we don't know what challenges lie ahead in terms of acceptance.
No,
Because
and they might bring home the perfect, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, and you get on really well with them. But then there comes the next one.
Do you know what, right?
And the next one.
And it's funny, 'cause when you think about as a parent, I think as the generations go down, I think I'm more open-minded than the generation before me, who was more open-minded than the generation before them, and who was more open-minded. So in the sense of, if my child was to have a choice that I don't agree with, I'm not going to change my view because my child, if I don't agree with it, I don't agree with it, and I'll be honest and open about that. But would I ever, that's my child, would I ever disown my child? Never. That's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
So what does that mean? You don't agree, but you accept? Or how do you make peace with that? So
if my son decides he wants to be in a polyamorous relationship and he wants to bring 4 gal over for Christmas, I I would want to. Do you know what it is? I would have to have a conversation to understand.
Yeah.
That's it. I think I would need to want to understand his view and the reason why he thinks he can sustain
But
this.
it's okay for you to say no.
Huh?
It's
Say
not,
what?
no,
No,
you don't want
No,
it.
I'm not saying. When I say,
Okay.
what
It's
I'm
okay
trying
to say no, you can't come.
No,
you can come, but leave
no,
the
that's
gallon.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that
left
bit,
the
that's
gallon. No,
that bit.
there's no room
You
on
can't
the
have
dinner
four.
table. No.
Do you know, I don't know. I don't know if I would say no, but I don't know if I
Okay.
would say yes. But what I do know is
Yeah.
I would have
The
like
conversation.
so
Have
I
a
like,
conversation.
I like the way you started. I'd have
Yeah,
a conversation,
yeah, yeah.
and actually, if this is something that is thought through and he or she's of sound mind, and they know the
That's
reasons why,
questionable about the
Yeah.
sound
they know the
mind part,
reasons
isn't
why
it?
they're doing it, and it's more about, well, actually, I've just got a more traditional view.
Yeah.
Then I would, we would have to find a middle ground. I don't know. I might say bring two, leave the other two.
Oh,
Choose
okay.
choose your favorite two.
Oh my gosh. You're
Well,
causing
interesting.
problems,
But
problems in the relationship.
Yeah, I don't know if
Interesting.
I just think like, my son's 7. I don't know what relationships are going to look like for
It's
him.
evolving.
And I recognize that, I have to come with an open mind to some degree, and I have to be clear about actually what's my own values and what I feel really strong
Yeah.
about, and actually not, what he feels really strong about, and find a middle ground, because I don't just want to no, it's got to be my way or no way, and he's like, well, this is my way, and then we're just kind of hitting heads, because actually that's what it was like as we were growing up.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that there is a level of flexibility to have a conversation.
I feel like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I hope this
I
hope this is something
Yeah.
that
We
doesn't
don't
ever
know.
stay on the internet for too long, and you can never come back and say, "Well,
Mum,
Mum,
you said, yeah.
2025.
I know."
I know. Okay, so the question is, more people, including celebrities like Neo, are embracing non-traditional relationships. What do you think is driving the shift towards more openness?
New times.
Yeah.
Just new times.
Yeah, freedom. I think
Yeah.
that people. I think I've heard a narrative around people saying that different people have different qualities, and actually it's difficult to find one person with everything if people are honest, and that's how some people have explained. And I've had a conversation with a woman that explained to me. She said to me, "Variety is the spice of life." So for some people, they just don't see.
Have your cake and eat it.
Yeah, they just don't see themselves in a situation where one person has everything and they're okay with that. They're like, you might find 80% with that person, another, and so.
But that's relationships, though.
And I
You
think
know,
people are looking-
perfection.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
people
what
also
it
looking.
is.
I think in addition to that, I think people are looking for different things now in relationship that holds them in terms of just So there's a lot of self-development happening, people doing the work for themselves, so no longer looking for someone else to fulfill that.
Yeah.
So actually there's more choice then in terms of how they want to have relationships going forward. So I
Yeah.
think those are one of the things that drive.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
New times.
Yeah.
All
Right.
right. That was an interesting one. That
do
was a good
this.
one. Whoever put that in there.
What's the juice?
Oh, that's lengthy as well.
Long haul flying isn't much fun at the best of times. So imagine the horror of being several hours into your 14-hour flight only for the captain to announce on the tannoy that you've got to go back. That's exactly what happened to hundreds of passengers on an American Airlines flight from JFK International Airport to New York to Tokyo. The Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner flew across the US and had made it to the Pacific Ocean beyond Alaska just 2 hours to its destination when there was a technical issue. Instead of continuing to an airport in Japan, the pilot was told to head to Dallas-Fort Worth. Question: knowing there was a technical problem, would you prefer to continue for the remaining 2 hours or turn back?
But could you imagine being on a flight, you're like 2 hours away and you go back? I'd be livid.
I don't understand the
Are they
thought
trying to kill
process
you?
behind that.
Technical issue.
If there's a technical issue, that means you haven't. So you can do with the technical issue for another full 14 hours back, but you can't
do
deal with
2
the
hours.
technical issue 2 hours forward. Nah, I think that's
Trump.
I think there's some conspiracy there or something.
But what would you like if you
What can you do?
if you had a choice? What would you?
I'd go to 2 hours forward.
Yeah.
You're closer to your destination. They're flying to Tokyo.
I
You get
want
to
to know
an
what the
airport
technical,
in
what's the technical issue? I want to know what is it.
I
Can't they
just
fix it in
So
Japan?
regardless of what it is,
I would need to know.
Why do you think they wouldn't be able to fix it in Japan, but they can fix it back?
No, but it doesn't matter if they fix it. All you need to do is land in Japan. If they can't fix the plane to go after that, that's fine. As long as you land, you're good.
Yeah.
But don't you think it's a risky driving, flying for 12
Going
hours?
back.
for a
Prefer them not to
technical
tell me
issue.
nothing.
I'd
and
rather
just
you
continue
flow
going.
for 2
So
hours.
2 hours, it's true.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's sort this
Rather
out.
than going back, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. My heart would be in my mouth. 2 hours all going back.
Back, yeah.
I feel like this is a joke.
It's a long flight.
Did this really happen?
It did really happen.
When?
About 6 weeks ago.
Really?
Mm.
Do you know what it makes me think of? This Netflix series called Manifest.
Oh, yes. I used to love Manifest.
My gosh.
Did that happen there?
No,
Oh
so
my
basically
God.
it was Jamaica. They was coming from Jamaica, flying back to whatever state they're from in America. And on the plane, it just felt like they had really bad turbulence.
Yeah.
And then they landed. But what in reality, what happened is they was in the air for like over 5 years. And when they came back, it was 5 years later.
Oh gosh, yeah, I think I
Yeah.
yeah.
It makes me feel like is that that sort of vibe?
And everyone thought they'd died and
Yeah.
they grieved and
Oh
someone
yes,
had
I
even
did
remarried.
Start.
Remember?
Do you know, I never
Yeah.
finished that. I think I did start
No,
that.
you know what?
Yeah.
Netflix did something naughty. They skipped out a season. And so they think they did season 1, 2, and no 3. And then they did 4. And I was like, well, I can't continue to watch it. Why would you
So
do that?
what's the verdict?
Go
I
forward.
think we're all going
Go
forward,
forward
2 hours. aren't
2
we?
hours.
Yeah.
Forward 2 hours, heart in your mouth.
Yes.
Could you just be like,
What's going
No,
on?
but if
And
they're
pray.
gonna just don't tell me. You won't be fretting for 2 hours. Just don't say nothing. Just drive forward. Have your little staff meeting on the plane, and don't tell the passengers. You want to heighten people's anxiety for what reason?
yeah,
Yeah.
No way.
that's that. I'll just no. Go forward.
Mm.
No, definitely don't go back.
No, it's too long.
Yeah, but the thing is, they didn't have a choice in it. They were just.
They did have a choice because I don't
What are you
understand.
gonna do? Jump off the plane?
No, the
Oh,
people,
the
no,
passengers
the
did,
people
yeah.
didn't have a choice, but I don't understand the rationale behind choosing to go back rather than going forward 2 hours. But anyway,
Maybe there's something that they didn't want to say.
yeah.
Maybe there's something else, another reason. It just doesn't
Maybe there was something
seem-
unsafe about landing in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't want to freak people out, but you still freaked
They
them
still
out by
freak
saying
them
it was
out.
a
Yeah.
technical issue.
All right. Let me choose one.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
go on then. Go on.
No,
then.
no, you go. Dig deep.
Let's take this small one. You lot have been reading essays, man.
Who's been putting in the essays?
I don't know, you know. Okay. What are people's views about Stephen Lawrence Day? What do you remember about the day?
Yeah, because it was Stephen Lawrence Day this week.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe it was, it's over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
Yeah.
32. And it's just, I think for me, it's just the stark realization, has anything changed, I suppose? I suppose I'll put the question out there, do people think anything has changed 32 years on? Yeah.
No. The police are still. Yeah. They're still.
I think what it did at the beginning was coin that phrase, unfortunately, around institutional racism. I think in the UK, that was the first time we sort of heard and understood, like we all lived and understood what racism was. But to hear that, so I think that in terms of the police force and many other spaces, that's still very real, very ongoing. And to be fair, the police really denied being institutional racist. And I think if your starting place is denial, you'll struggle to make change. I can't see enough change being made in the police at all. We're still seeing, disproportional force used against us. We had, how old was that little girl? A black little girl in Hackney that was strip searched
yes,
a few
at
years
school.
ago.
Yeah.
That was during the COVID times,
Yeah.
wasn't it, at school?
So I still would say that it'd be sad for him to know this, but I feel like we haven't moved far forward. The conversation's moved.
Yeah,
but
because that case that was in the papers more recently for, is it Chris?
oh yeah,
Yeah, where the police officer, so he got off. He didn't get,
No.
and I think there was also something in the papers about that he got a promotion as well more recently. So there isn't any change. And it's just, you know, the thing is, like, if you're going to have a day, you want it to be a day where schools, education, everyone is a day that they're doing something different. You know, a bit like what they're doing around Black History Month. You know, I don't know if there's enough awareness about Stephen Lawrence Day in terms of what schools are doing to kind of acknowledge to do something different.
Yeah, I don't think they are acknowledging it.
No.
I don't think they are.
And I think that's where, you know, it's taken, and you know, the thing that sometimes gets me is that it always feels like it takes something to happen in America for us to be able to do something different in the UK. You know, in terms of like all the organisations that are doing the work around anti-racist practice, that's come about from the drive from what's happened with George Floyd, not from actually what's happened with all the other Black men that have been killed by police in this country.
Yeah, that's so true.
Really. And so, yeah, I'd love for Steve Lawrence Day to be something where we are doing something different. It's a day of recognition, and it's not a celebratory day, but a day where organisations, especially schools, are aware of that day. But otherwise it kind of goes and comes, and people they know of it. And then also the things I'm just always mindful of, you've got the younger generation that come up that don't know,
have no idea who he is.
Well, and you don't necessarily have to, but actually what you know, like anything, you know, time changes, but you're educated, and it's something that you're being taught about, and you're learning about, and you're thinking about how you could do something different, and that's not happening.
I think the foundation's doing some good work. So I saw a video this week of Doreen with some young people who have access, because obviously he wanted to be an architect, so they're supporting other young people with studying. But I would agree, I don't think it's widespread that people, if you say his name, as you said to the younger ones, like even my son, he's 18, I don't think he could tell you who Stephen Lawrence is, really. I don't think there's been conversations in school. I might have mentioned it to him, but I couldn't say that he knows.
No, they wouldn't. Yeah, we you know, if there's anything, I mean, it just relies on you to still do the work around, like it always does, around educating your family, your children. But more acknowledgement needs to be made about the day.
Yeah, no, definitely.
What was your thoughts when? I'm guessing this was yours.
It was. I think my thoughts were, I think what we kind of talked about, and the fact that it's not really recognised wider. And also I think as well, it can kind of get lost. And it just kind of brought me back in terms of, because I was in high school when he passed away. And I think for me, it was this whole thing about a young boy being involved in gangs. And we still have that premise today that a lot, you know, in society, you kind of see a group of boys and you kind, you know, or a boy, you know, and you think that he's kind of involved in something that he should, antisocial behaviour. And I think for me, it also just kind of resonated in terms of how it affected the whole family, you know, and how Doreen really, and, you know, and Neville fought, you know, tirelessly for a long time to get justice. And it took a long time, you know, and not all of them did go to prison.
Recently that one of them even admitted it.
I can't remember. I know a couple of them. Is it two of them might have gone to prison? But it took years. That, I mean, they were, you know, they must have been, I don't know, in their 30s or whatever when they did go to prison. But it just kind of made me feel that it's been like 30 plus years, and what much has changed really.
No,
I think that's the bit that kind of when I was kind of reflecting on it.
It's so layered, the injustices. It's like so hard to even articulate, like losing a son. Yeah. But then finding out
exactly over here.
That the police who are there to serve him, to protect, allegedly, were part of the cover-up. And you then have to fight such a big body like that to get justice for a child so many years later, and trying to fight for everyone. It's exhausting, as you say, the toll on the family.
Definitely. But it's a good topic, good conversation.
Okay. Oh, that felt a bit, you know. Yeah. I didn't want to share too many views on that because it would be one I'd be passionate about.
We love your passion.
But not a happy passion. Okay. So this one says, lack of diversity in the UK. If anyone's on TikTok, they would have heard there's a TikToker called Christabel, and she's a black woman, and she was talking about that she didn't have her first black friend until she was 26 years old.
How old is she now?
She's older than that now. She's
27.
I think she's in her late 30s.
Is there a bit more of a context?
Well, the context.
Sorry, I should never
There's been this whole thing on TikTok about. So she was just telling her life story of different parts, and she was saying she didn't have her black friend until she was 26. So she's not from London; she's from a different part of the UK. And although London's very diverse, we only make up. I think we make up 3% of the population, or between 3 and 5% of the population outside of London or major cities. So there's lots of parts in the UK where there's not many black people. So she was talking about from where she was from, she didn't really interact with black people because it was mostly a white area that she was from. She wasn't from a very diverse area. She obviously went off to university, had jobs and all that sort of stuff. And when she, so the first time she actually had a friend who was black like her was when she was 26 years old. And TikTok was going wild saying, well, maybe how did you not have a friend?
I'm still
black friend who's 26 years old?
I'm still like...
And where, like the back of beyond, where was she living in the UK?
I can't remember the part of it. Yeah.
But you don't have to... I mean, sorry, how old is she now?
In her late 30s.
Yeah. You don't have to, like, rely on... you know, you can make friends in so many different ways,
Now
if you want to. Yeah, and she's in her 30s, she's young enough to have been able to access...
30s, coming to 40s, yeah.
Access the internet and, groups and go out and, yeah.
But she was, and actually there was still a few people under her post who was saying that the same things happened to them. They didn't really have the opportunity to have, like, in primary school, sometimes someone talked about in their whole school, there was only 4 black people in the whole school. So they're going through primary school, secondary school, not really having that interaction with black people outside of their kind of own family members.
So I was going to ask you, so where was her, like, extended family? So
no, she said it was about friends, not family members.
No, the only reason I was asking that is because, if you've got, I don't know, brothers, sisters, cousins, you might go out with them and they might have friends.
That you meet.
But you know what? I think it is possible that happened because one of my aunties moved to Wales when we was so they were from South London. They lived in South London, and my cousins, and they moved to Wales when we was younger. And I remember going to Wales to visit for the first time. Wales is very diverse now. Cardiff in particular is very diverse. But back in the day when we went, when like 2 of her children are mixed race and one's black, and when we went to go to visit them, people would look at us like, oh my gosh, there's black people walking down the street. And it was, and I'm talking about, I was probably early secondary school age, and it was very much the taboo. We went to the park, and even I think one of my cousins would said, yeah, they had a narrative of who black people were. Some people were even scared to see like black kids playing in the park. And for those people in that community, it's like they've never seen black people before.
Yeah, but maybe it's just not like, maybe it wasn't a priority on her list in terms
some
of
people have that view that you're
socializing with people who look like you, and that's okay,
But
and
also,
if that's your choice and actually you're colorblind and you just want to just have a friend, then that's fine, that's all fine. But do
you find that difficult to comprehend? A lot of people
I am. I'm curious about the impact though, because what I'm thinking about is, yes, you come from a black family, you live with your family, so it's not like you live with another family who don't reflect what you look like. Does that in some way present as a barrier to having relationships? Like, why? I don't know. Is this just about opportunity of not finding other black people, or being around black people but almost not knowing how to be with them? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why would you put something like that on the TikTok anyway? Why would
people put all sorts on TikTok?
Yeah, but why would you? What is it? What was the? Yeah, was this something she was like, wow, I've got a black friend now? I'm just like, how?
No, she was just literally talking about just talking about her life. To be honest, it was going wild on TikTok. I didn't dig into the rabbit hole of this story, but me and my sister was having a conversation about it the other day. And I think, although to us it seems like it's impossible, especially because we're from London. London is very diverse, extreme. I'm not trying to be funny. You go in London, you hear all different languages being spoken. You see all different, but there are parts in the UK, and the only way that I could relate back to it is when I talked about thinking about Wales when I was younger and I went to visit my auntie.
Yeah, but you can go and, I get that, but you could also actively, if it was something she felt that she
needed to, she could
have actively gone and said, okay, I'm going to go and look for a group, or I'm going to, save up some money and make trips to go and find areas where there are more black people. It's,
I mean, I understand it in terms of possibly her school days, she might have been the only black person in the school. I get that bit. But in terms of what you were saying, Sharon, like, as you get older, when you go to university, it is more diverse.
Yeah, you make a choice.
Because there would have been
even
black
if
people, so I find that a bit difficult.
We
she
don't
didn't
know what
want to know any
university
black
she went
person,
to.
man. That's what I said to you.
What's the she went up
impact?
north, even anywhere she went, even if she went to Scotland, do you know what I mean?
Some
you would
people
have
were
been
saying
around.
what you guys are saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
They're
trying to
saying you
say.
didn't wanna know
Maybe
black
she's
people, maybe you
around.
stayed away from
That's
black
what I'm
people.
trying to say. Maybe she got
maybe
to
you
a
feel
space late
comfortable.
in life around black people, but what was that like for her based on the fact that she'd never had those
How do you
friendships
communicate?
before? So how is she
And
then
relate?
going to form those connections? I'm not saying that everybody would struggle, but I'm just
Some
like,
people do,
what's that going to be like for you suddenly being around
But you
black
can
people?
you can see friendship groups. Have you ever seen there's been groups of friendship group and it'll be predominantly one ethnicity and maybe one member. So there could be a group of 8 friends and 7 of them are all the same ethnicity, and then you've got that one friend who's a different ethnicity in that group. And maybe that one friend who's a different ethnicity doesn't really hang out with their own ethnicity. Why do you think those sort of friendship dynamics happen? Or do you think it could be because some people, have you seen them people online that are crazy that will be like, well, I'm
sorry for
that-
anyone who is
No, they are
offended
like,
by...
because they'll be like, well, I don't identify as black. You're black.
Oh, that was a real thing though. Look at
Yeah,
Rachel Dozier.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that lady.
Yes.
She took the NAACP
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
and she weren't black.
She
Do you
wasn't
not think
black.
that's a mental health condition?
She said she identifies as being
As black, yeah.
What was the word? Transracial.
I'm transfinancial. I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I identify as a millionaire.
Do you know what? I think on that note,
What
I
way to
think,
end?
I think look, Shaz is dropping her drink. I think we need to kind of like bring it to...
Yeah, I need a different drink. We need to do part 2 to this because the bowl is full.
It's true, right?
It is.
The bowl is full. Okay, so thank you for joining us for episode 7 of Laptops and Drinks. We will be coming back with a part 2. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. Thank you.
Not getting looking.
So bye for now from me, from Shads.
Bye from me, Davina.
Bye from me, Anne-Marie.
Bye for me, Sharon.
Bye.